Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a full-throttle deep dive into the electrifying world of the Swiss heavy metal quintet, Burning Witches.
Hmm.
We're zeroing in on their highly anticipated sixth studio album, Inquisition. It's actually set to ignite stages and speakers alike on August 22nd, 2025, via Napalm Records.
Yeah, the anticipation is definitely high for this one,
Right. So our mission really for this deep dive is to understand why this album's being called their darkest, most epic, and uncompromising sound yet.
which is saying something considering their previous work.
Exactly. We'll explore the potent, sometimes stark themes woven through its 12 new tracks, and we'll dissect the musical evolution and the individual performances that make it such a compelling listen for you.
Yeah.
Our sources paint a vivid picture, suggesting this isn't just another album drop. They seem to be really refining their identity here.
Well, what's truly fascinating and what our sources consistently highlight is how Burning Witches have basically taken what they already do well and just pushed it further. They've dug deeper, both thematically and musically, to forge something genuinely impactful. It's not just about cranking up the aggression. It's like more focused, purposeful
Yeah.
aggression.
And that purpose really seems to shine through in the album's themes, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to journey through some incredibly intense subjects here, diving into medieval women's persecution, religious oppression, and this fierce, unbreakable spirit of resistance.
Hmm.
It immediately sets a serious, almost somber, yet incredibly defiant tone for the whole record. How do they even manage to translate such heavy historical stuff into heavy metal?
That's a great question. And it's really where the band's songwriting shines. I mean, if you think about it, these aren't just random dark themes picked for shock value.
Right.
They give Inquisition this palpable sense of, well, Ladernis Feuer, that blazing fire of purpose. The music itself becomes part of the story, a protest against historical injustice almost.
Okay, yeah.
You hear it in the minor keys, the sort of somber melodies, but also in the raw power of Laura Goldemann's vocals. They often sound like a rallying cry.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the album this big cinematic feel, pulling you into that brutal medieval setting. You feel the struggle, the defiance in every riff, every drum beat. And the lyrics, as we'll see later in tracks like Shame, they don't pull any punches about the brutality.
That's a powerful way to engage the listener. And speaking of the music, the band's evolution on Inquisition seems just as compelling.
Yes.
Sources point out that while it refines their established sound, it also balances this surge of aggression with their signature melodic stuff. What's interesting is how it apparently avoids what one source called the pretentiousness in modern power metal. What does that mean for you, the listener, practically speaking?
Right, that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of modern power metal bands, sometimes in trying to be super complex or grand, can kind of lose that raw, direct energy of classic heavy metal. They might rely too much on, like, overly elaborate song structures, or maybe symphonic bits that overshadow the actual band, or just technicality for its own sake. Burning Witches, though, they managed to pull influences from giants like Judas Priest, Warlock, Iron Maiden.
The classic.
Exactly. Bands known for those timeless riffs, strong melodies, direct impact without just copying them.
Okay.
The key, as one reviewer put it, is they're simply getting better at what they already do.
Hmm.
They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're perfecting their own blend of traditional heavy metal with a modern edge.
So what does that sound like?
It means you get these powerful, memorable riffs, soaring vocals, a driving rhythm section that's unmistakably Burning Witches, but with this clear progression in songwriting, nuance, and tightness. Any variation feels organic, like it serves the song, not just showing off chops.
That dedication to honing their strengths definitely comes through in the individual performances. Let's start with the front woman, Laura Goldemand. Her vocals are described as having seemingly endless vocal possibilities, powerful, versatile, evoking legends like Doro Pesch and Rob Halford. That's, wow, incredibly high praise.
And totally earned, I think. Her command over her voice on Inquisition is, well, it goes beyond just power. You hear her shift seamlessly, right?
Mhm.
From almost operatic, clean tones in tracks like the ballad Release Me,
Mm-hmm.
conveying vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly, with surprising sensitivity. Then she hits you with these raw, guttural roars and piercing screams in Soul Eater, which honestly could stand up against Halford's most aggressive stuff.
Wow.
And it's not just a technical showcase, it's crucial for conveying the album's huge thematic and emotional range. It makes those shifts really hit home for the listener. Her versatility lets her embody everything from the defiant witch to the persecuted victim. Such a dynamic vocal needs an equally strong musical base. Founding guitarist Romana Kalkul's hymnic songwriting provides that melodic core, and then Courtney Cox builds on it with complex riffs and captivating solos. How do those two guitar styles mesh so well?
It's a really synergistic partnership. Romana brings those classic, almost anthemic heavy metal melodies, those harmonized guitar leads that make you think of Maiden or early power metal.
Those hooks that get stuck in your head.
Exactly. Then Courtney takes that foundation and injects this modern, often more aggressive edge. Her complex riffs aren't just techy. They're often syncopated, maybe full of interesting chromatic runs, or tightly palm-muted for maximum punch, especially in the thrashier bit.
Then the solos.
Her captivating solos are fluid, they have a strong melodic sense, but sometimes surprising twists. It shows she's got a great ear for what the song needs, not just shredding. Together, they create this rich sound tapestry that's both familiar and, fresh.
And holding it all down, you've got Janine Graub on bass and Lala Frischknecht on drums. Janine's bass lines are called a solid foundation, while Lala's drumming is hailed as her best recorded drum performance to date. What makes their contributions stand out here?
Well, Janine Graub's bass does more than just lay a foundation. It adds real depth and drive. Listen to tracks like the title song Inquisition. Her bass lines aren't just following the guitar.
Right.
They're often leading the charge or weaving these intricate fills and counter melodies through the riffs. It adds this subtle but powerful layer of complexity and groove. She's really active in the whole sound.
And Lala on drums.
Yeah, Lala Frischknecht's drumming is quite something on this record. It's not just speed, it's precision, power, dynamic range. Her double bass work is relentless and tight, especially on tracks like Burn in Hell, really driving that power metal energy. But then she can shift to more nuanced atmospheric patterns in Release Me, or inject these complex syncopated fills that just elevate the aggression in Soul Eater. Her performance shows this really advanced understanding of how to support and enhance the songs. It truly seems like her most impactful recorded work.
And bringing all these individual strengths together is the production. Demir Eskik from Destruction and Vio Pulver are credited with a crisp, punchy mix that highlights the band's strength, keeping that raw metal power but with a polished contemporary sheen. That sounds like a tricky balance. How'd they pull it off?
It is a delicate balance, and they absolutely nailed it. A crisp, punchy mix, right? It means every instrument has its own space and impact. You can clearly hear Romana's melodies separate from Courtney's rhythms, and Laura's vocals always cut through, whether she's soaring or screaming.
Yeah.
The drums sound huge and natural, not overly processed. The kick drum has that gut punch feel that drives the metal, and the snare has a satisfying crack.
So it avoids that modern, overly polished sound.
Exactly. The raw, traditional metal power comes from keeping the natural aggression and dynamics of a live performance, steering clear of that overcompression or sterile digital sound that can sometimes kill modern productions. But it still has that polished contemporary sheen because it sounds clear, balanced, powerful on any system.
Okay.
It's production that serves the songs first, amplifying the band's strengths without burying them. It's really a masterclass in modern heavy metal production, giving you that visceral, in-your-face experience.
Okay, now let's get specific. Let's dive into some of the standout tracks to really illustrate this diverse firepower. We'll kick things off right at the top with the opener, Sanguini Hominum.
Right.
Sources describe it as ushering in heavy metal madness with Latin choirs and unhealable guitar and riffs. That's ominous guitar riffs, for those who don't speak German. It immediately puts you in the Middle Ages. What makes it such an effective opener?
Sanguini Hominum is a brilliant opening statement. It starts with this dark, almost church-like Latin choir, instantly creating that medieval foreboding vibe.
Sets the mood.
Totally. Then the galloping riffs kick in. Powerful, mid-tempo, classic heavy metal. Sets the tone immediately. Laura's vocals here are really commanding, delivering the narrative with urgency. The ominous guitar riffs use minor scales, maybe some slightly dissonant harmonies, hinting at the darkness ahead. It's more than a song. It's like an overture, building anticipation for the whole album journey.
And that anticipation quickly ramps up with Soul Eater. This track takes us deep into thrashy intensity. Brutal riffs, razor-sharp screams. It's described as relentless, and the solo even gets priest comparisons. Tell us more about that thrash influence.
Oh yeah, Soul Eater is where they really flex those aggressive muscles. The brutal riffs here are often fast, palm-muted, very syncopated, creating this driving, almost non-stop rhythm.
Relentless.
Yeah, pushes the song forward hard. Lala's double bass drumming is crucial here, providing that thrash backbone. Laura's razor-sharp screams just cut through it all, adding this visceral, guttural edge, pure heavy metal ferocity.
And the solo, Priest-like.
It really does have those Priest-like traits. Think melodic phrasing, maybe some whammy bar drama, and that virtuosity combined with a strong sense of structure, not just mindless speed. It's a furious headbanging track. It only lets up slightly in the super catchy anthemic chorus, gives you a split second to breathe before it hits you again.
Then the title track, Inquisition, unleashes a power metal storm, thunderous bass lines, Goldman's penetrating vocals. It's got this dark cinematic feel, really hammering home those themes of judgment and mysticism. What gives it that cinematic quality?
Inquisition is absolutely the thematic centerpiece. That dark cinematic feel comes from a few things. The arrangement often layers guitars for a broader soundscape. The tempo shifts strategically. Dynamics build and fall back, creating tension. Janine Grob's thunderous bass lines are key here, providing this powerful, almost orchestral low end. It gives the track its weighty, foreboding feel. And Laura's penetrating vocals are delivered with this sense of gravitas drama, almost like a narrator recounting some grim history, but with real conviction. The bridge especially often builds to this massive anthemic chorus that feels like the climax of a dark movie scene. Super immersive, really captures the album's core message.
After all that intensity, it's interesting to hear about High Priestess of the Night. It apparently has a rock-like attitude, a catchy 80s guitar solo, offering a bit of a breather. How does that fit in without feeling, I don't know, out of place?
It's actually smart sequencing. High Priestess of the Night does lean more into hard rock territory, showing their versatility. It's got a slightly more relaxed groove, driving but less frantic tempo, and that rock-like attitude is all about swagger.
Okay.
The catchy 80s guitar solo is pure melodic gold, classic rock feel, memorable phrasing. It works as a moment of release, a lighter shade in the album's dark palette, but it doesn't really detract from the overall mood.
Adds dimension.
Exactly. It shows that even within their dark mysticism, there's room for a more straightforward, fist-pumping anthem. The pre-chorus especially has this really cool build that pulls you right into the main hook.
But you don't get too comfortable, because then Burn in Hell brings back that pure power metal energy. Double bass attacks, powerful riffing, blows everything away.
Sounds like a definitive statement of their core sound.
Oh, Burn in Hell is pure, unadulterated power metal. An undeniable assault, start to finish. Lala's double bass is relentless, driving the tempo with almost frantic energy. The guitar riffs are fast, melodic, aggressive, classic heavy metal.
Yeah.
Laura's vocals are soaring, commanding, perfectly matching the high-octane energy. It's definitely a track designed to get a crowd moving, a real headbanger that leaves no doubt about their mastery of this style.
And then just when you think you've got them figured out, we get the atmospheric ballad, Release Me. Shows the album's emotional depth. What makes this effective in balancing all that aggression?
Release Me really highlights their dynamic range. It's not your typical power ballad maybe, but it's atmospheric, emotionally charged. The tempo slows right down, the instruments become more sparse.
Letting the vocals shine. Totally. It allows Laura Goldman's heartfelt, powerful performance to really take center stage. Her voice carries the weight of the lyrics, probably touching on liberation, freedom from persecution, making it incredibly poignant. The guitars provide this gentler, melodic underpinning instead of searing riffs, and the drums shift to a more restrained textural approach. It's a moment of real introspection, raw vulnerability that contrasts sharply with the heavier tracks. It proves they can handle speed, melody, and atmosphere equally well.
And finally, tracks like Shame and Mirror Mirror are pointed out as examples of the band combining both aggressive and theatrical approaches, moving from thrashy to theatrical with admirable ease. These sound like quintessential Burning Witches tracks.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
Shame mixes this punchy, riff-heavy foundation, often with those signature tight, aggressive guitar patterns, with really cool melodic vocal and guitar ideas that give it that dramatic flair. Builds tension and release expertly. Mirror Mirror, though, is a real highlight because it blends brutal, almost thrash-like parts with more moderate theatrical moments. It creates this dynamic ebb and flow that keeps you completely hooked.
Yeah.
These tracks really show off their ability to blend different facets of metal raw aggression, more orchestrated almost storytelling sections into a cohesive, captivating whole.
You mentioned a couple of others, too.
Right? We should also touch on In for the Kill. It's got this almost U.S. power metal vibe, igniting a real riff storm, but still keeping those crucial melodies. USPM often has more complex structures, a slightly more epic feel, and you hear them incorporating that really well here.
Interesting.
And the spell of the skull really gives Goldeman space to shine, showcasing her versatile vocal style over those familiar, catchy, heavy metal arrangements. Again, just solidifying their dynamic songwriting.
So wrapping this all up, what does this album mean for Burning Witches and their place in the metal scene? Sources are calling Inquisition, their most mature long player, a perfect presentation of what Burning Witches can be for old fans and new listeners alike.
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, it suggests Burning Witches with Inquisition haven't just solidified their status as serious players in power metal. They've delivered an album that really encapsulates their growth. They've managed to create this captivating, energetic metal with a mystical touch by essentially rigorously honing what they already do well, rather than trying some drastic reinvention.
Right, building on strengths.
Exactly. This deep dive really highlights how their relentless energy, that dark mysticism, and their dedication to craft, specifically refining their core strengths, has led to what's being called their most mature and impactful work yet. And the way those themes of medieval women's persecution translate through such raw, powerful music, it offers this compelling narrative that goes beyond just sound. It gives the album real weight and relevance.
That definitely comes through.
And raises an interesting question for you to think about. How does a band achieve its most impactful, its most mature work? By focusing on just getting better at what they already do, instead of chasing some radical new sound. And what does it say about the enduring power of metal to channel these historical narratives of defiance and resistance into something contemporary, something you can headbang to?
That's a great point to ponder. We definitely recommend you experience Inquisition for yourself, especially if you're looking for a fresh, powerful take on heavy and power metal that delivers both aggression and melody.
Absolutely.
Pay close attention to tracks like Shame, Burn in Hell, Mirror, Mirror, and In for the Kill to really get a feel for that blend of aggression, mystique, and the band's undeniable skill.